Hey guys, Patrick here, your nutrition coach here at Perform and Transform. In this video, I'm going to be going over how you can have the right type of carbs so that you can accelerate your weight loss and improve your health and nutrition. So we're talking all about carbs in this video. Now carbs, they have a bad rap. Everyone wants to eliminate carbs. Everyone doesn't want to have carbs to lose weight. But the truth is we need carbs, but we need the right type of carbs, okay? Now what is a carb? Carb basically is anything that gives you sugar, starches, fiber, and in our body it's broken it down into glucose for energy. Now for carbs, it doesn't have a ton of calories in it compared to the fat. 1 gram of carbs is 4 calories, okay? But for your total consumption of carbs for the day, you want to have anywhere between 45 to 65% of your daily caloric intake coming from your carbohydrates. Now you want to have the right type of carbs to make your carbs count. If you have the bad carbs, then obviously it's not going to be beneficial for your weight loss journey. So moving forward over here, what is the difference between a good carb and a bad carb? Pretty much what carbs do is it gives you energy, either slow energy or quick energy, okay? So the quick energy comes from simple carbs and refined carbs. The long-term slow energy comes from complex carbs, whole carbs, and smart carbs. So simple carbs over here are anything that is refined. So beverages, fruit juices, pastries, white bread, white pasta, white rice. This is gonna give you simple carbs, okay? It's gonna give you that quick burst of energy, okay? Now in some circumstances, simple carbs are great. If you're an athlete, if you have a sporting event, if you have a hard workout coming out and you need that immediate boost of energy, or maybe first thing in the morning you want that kick of energy, you can have, like for example, a Gatorade during your workout to keep you fueled up, okay? If you're trying to lose weight, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you're a high-end athlete burning a ton of calories, then this would be a doable option, okay? Some other things for simple carbs are, if you have too much simple carbs, that actually causes you to gain weight, and simple carbs don't have a lot of vitamins, minerals, or fiber. Fiber is essential because it causes slower digestion and thus it releases the energy slower, and so you don't gain all that weight. All right, and then we talked about this. Simple carbs give you that quick energy release. And then simple carbs, or another word for simple carbs, are empty calories. So these are the bad carbs. Now moving on to complex carbs. So complex carbs, whole carbs, or what we call smart carbs, these are the carbs that you want to have in your nutrition, okay? So these complex carbs, they're lower on the glycemic index. We're gonna get into that in a bit, but basically it releases energy slowly, okay? So some of the good complex carb options are beans, peas, lentils, sweet potatoes, corn, parsnips, whole grain bread, and cereals, okay? Now for carbs, carbs can have a vicious cycle if you have too much of the bad carbs and if you have too much too quickly, okay? So if you have too much simple carbs too quickly, what it does is it causes a spike in our blood sugar levels, and thus it causes a spike in our insulin levels, and if we don't use all that energy, it gets stored really quickly as fat, okay? Now if you have a lot of if you're eating a lot of carbs and you're eating it frequently and you're eating it all at once, what it causes is exactly what I highlighted, and plus you're gonna crave carbs even more, and thus it's gonna spiral down into this vicious carb cycle. Hope that makes sense. Next, we have our glycemic index. Glycemic index is pretty much a calculation of how quickly or how slowly carbs get released into our body, okay? The higher the glycemic index, the worse that food is. The lower the glycemic index, the better that food is. So if you're eating foods that are high in the glycemic index, once again, it's gonna spike your blood sugar levels. It's gonna cause that insulin balance. So insulin, what insulin does is once you have food and glucose and sugar in your bloodstream, it doesn't get used right away, okay? In order to be processed and used, you need insulin to be so that it gets transmitted into our body for energy, all right? Foods that are high on the glycemic index, what it does is it causes a spike in your blood sugar levels, okay? Now, if you have a spike in blood sugars in your bloodstream, that energy doesn't get used right away. In order to convert that blood from your bloodstream into usable energy, you need the help of insulin, All right. Now, if you have too much insulin too quickly, it causes an insulin balance upset. All right. And if you have too much of bad carbs too soon, it triggers you to want to crave more high carb foods, and thus it causes that cycle, and then you're going to be gaining weight. Remember, if you don't use that energy right away, it gets stored as fat. That's why you want to have slow releasing energy so that you get a chance to burn off all of that energy. Now, here are 5 tips on how you can choose foods that are lower on the glycemic index, the good carbs, all right? So tip number 1 is to have plenty of non-starchy foods. Those things like vegetables, beans, fruits, whole grains are fantastic. You want to avoid refined foods, so white bread, white pasta, and you want to substitute that with whole grains, all right? And the 5th tip over here is to avoid concentrated sweets that are high in calories and to reduce fruit juices, okay? So over here, in our next slide, here is a list of some of the bad carbs, and here's a list of some of the good carbs. So the bad carbs are fruit juices, sodas, pops, cookies, pastries, cakes, white bread, white crackers, white pasta, candy, ice cream, potato chips. These are all bad options, okay? And this is why carbs get a bad rap, okay? But now the good carbs, these are the good carbs you want to include in your nutrition. We need carbs in our diet. You don't want to eliminate all carbs, you just want to eliminate the bad carbs. So the good carbs are fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, legumes, beans, peas, lentils, whole grains, brown rice, quinoa, oats, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. These are all great options, okay? Now for the challenge of the week, level 1 is to replace 1 or 2 refined carbs, processed carbs, bad carbs with 1 to 2 servings of good carbs, whole carbs, and smart carbs. Pretty much those are the same thing. Smart carbs, whole carbs, they mean the same, okay? Level 2 is to avoid all refined carbs and to substitute it with smart carbs. Level 3 goal is to actually track your carb intake. If you're trying to lose weight, we recommend not having more than 150 grams of carbs per day, okay? So let me know in the comment section below what your nutrition challenge of this week is going to be, level 1, 2, and 3, and what type of carb you're going to be consuming this week. What type of good carbs, okay? All right, comment below. Thanks for watching this video and for allowing us to transform your life through fitness. I've been transformed, never going back.